Vaivaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadhipa nachaiva na bhavishyama sarve vayam atha param. Translation. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Purport for this verse given by Srila Prabhupada, founder of ISKCON. In the Vedas, in the Kat Upanishad, as well as in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the maintainer of innumerable living entities in terms of their different situations according to individual work and reaction of work. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is also, by his plenary portions, alive in the heart of every living entity. Only saintly persons who can see within and without the same Supreme Lord can actually attain to perfect and eternal peace. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman tamatmastham ye nupashyanti dhiras tesham shanti shashvati netaresham. The same Vedic truth given to Arjun is given to all persons in the world who pose themselves as very learned, but factually have but a poor fund of knowledge. The Lord says clearly that he himself, Arjun, and all the kings who are assembled on the battlefield are eternally individual beings, and that the Lord is eternally the maintainer of the individual living entities, both in their condition and their liberated situations. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the supreme individual person, and Arjun, the Lord's eternal associate. And all the kings assembled there are individual eternal persons. It is not that they did not exist as individuals in the past. It is not that they will not remain eternal persons. Their individuality existed in the past, and their individuality will continue in the future without interruption. Therefore, there is no cause for lamentation for anyone. The Mayavadi theory that after liberation, the individual soul, separated by the covering of Maya or illusion, will merge into the impersonal Brahman and lose its individual existence, is not supported herein by Lord Krishna, the Supreme Authority. Nor is the theory that we only think of Krishna, that we only think of individuality in the conditioned state, supported herein. Krishna clearly says herein that in the future also the individuality of the Lord and others, as it is confirmed in the Upanishads, will continue eternally. This statement of Krishna's is authoritative because Krishna cannot be subject to illusion. If individuality of the Lord and others, as it is confirmed in the Upanishads, will continue eternally. This statement of Krishna's is authoritative because Krishna cannot be subject to illusion. If individuality were not a fact, then Krishna would not have stressed it so much, even for the future. The Mayavadi may argue that the individuality spoken of by Krishna is not spiritual but material. Even accepting the argument that Krishna's even accepting the argument that the individuality is material, then how can one distinguish Krishna's individuality? Krishna affirms his individuality in the past and confirms his individuality in the future also. He has confirmed his individuality in many ways, and impersonal Brahman has been declared to be subordinate to him. Krishna has maintained spiritual individuality all along. If he is accepted as an ordinary conditioned soul in individual consciousness, then his Bhagavad-gita has no value as authoritative scripture. A common man with all the four defects of human frailty is unable to teach that which is worth hearing. The Gita is above such literature. No mundane book compares with the Bhagavad-gita. When one accepts Krishna as an ordinary man, the Gita loses all importance. The Mayavadi argues that the plurality mentioned in this verse is conventional and that it refers to the body. But Previous to this verse, such a bodily conception is already condemned. After condemning the bodily conception of the living entities, how was it possible for Krishna to place a conventional proposition on the body again? Therefore, individuality is maintained on spiritual grounds and is thus confirmed by great acharyas like Sri Ramanuja and others. It is clearly mentioned in many places in the Gita that this spiritual individuality is understood by those who are devotees of the Lord. Those who are envious of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead have no bona fide access to the great literature. The non-devotee's approach to the teachings of Gita is something like that of a bee licking on a bottle of honey. One cannot have a taste of honey unless one opens the bottle. Similarly, the mysticism of the Bhagavad-gita can be understood only by the devotees, and no one else can taste it, as it is stated in the 4th chapter of the book. Nor can the Gita be taught by persons who envy the very existence of the Lord. Therefore, the Mayavadi explanation of the Gita is a most misleading presentation of the whole truth. Lord Chaitanya has forbidden us to read commentations made by the Mayavadis and warns that one who takes to such an understanding of the Mayavadi philosophy loses all power to understand the real mystery of the Gita. If individuality refers to the empirical universe, then there is no need of teaching by the Lord. The plurality of the individual soul and the Lord is an eternal fact, and it is confirmed by the Vedas as above mentioned. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vikas Samiti Namani. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Samiti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyadi Paschat Desha Tarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So for those who just joined, we are on Bhagavad-gita chapter 2, text 12. Natva evaham jatunasam natvam neme janadhipa nachaiva na bhavishyama sarve vayam atah param. Translation: never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Krishna is speaking here. In the previous verse, we saw how Krishna immediately chastised his disciple, Arjun, as is the prerogative of the Guru. Arjun surrendered to Krishna in chapter 2, text 7. So in text 11, Krishna begins to speak, and his first point was, he's telling Arjun that why are you lamenting for something which is not worthy of lamentation? So he was speaking about the Arjun's lamenting for the bodies of his family and friends. So actually, Krishna said that one who is wise does not lament for the body. He doesn't lament for something which is not supposed to be lamented for. Nanu shochanti pandita. A pandit won't lament for this reason, for something like that. So here in this verse, Krishna is beginning his shiksha, instructions to Arjun. So the first point in the purport, Prabhupada is making a point that he's explaining about the nature of God according to the Upanishads. Okay, so establish the Godhead of Krishna, and the fact that there is a supreme in the Vedas, there is a supreme personality, single personality, not so many, and that there is a concept of a supreme personality that is explained in the purport. So there's a particular verse quoted which comes in Kata Upanishad and Shvetashvatara Upanishad. So Prabhupada explains that it's mentioned in the Vedas that the Supreme Personality is the maintainer of innumerable living entities. Something wrong with this? He's the maintainer of innumerable living entities in terms of their different situations, according to individual work and reaction of work. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is also by his plenary portions alive in the heart of every living entity. Okay, and in the verse he quoted, it says that only saintly people who can see the Supreme within themselves and outside, only they can attain perfect eternal peace. So this is an important point. Many people are searching for peace and eternality, so but they are not looking in the proper way. Many people say, I'm looking for peace, my life is not peaceful, I'm suffering. But here, Upanishads, which are the highest part of the Vedas, are telling us how we can attain peace, eternal peace, perfect and eternal peace. So this is a verse quoted in Kat Upanishad and Shveta Ashvatara Upanishad. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman tamatmastham ye nupashyanti dhiras tesham shanti shashvati netaresham. Okay, so actually what is being spoken here? In this verse it says Nityo Nityanam. That means there are many eternal entities, and out of them one is prominent. Nityo Nityanam. Okay, and then Chetanash Chetananam. There are many conscious living entities, but there is one who is above all of them. Okay, so many living entities exist in this creation, but one is prominent who is eternal and who has consciousness. And Eko Bahudam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. That living entity is, how do we put it? He is maintaining the other living entities. Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. So he is maintaining the other living entities according to their individual work and reaction of work. Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. He's satisfying their desires according to what they deserve. So this is very clear theistic argument in the Vedas, that there is a single supreme personality who under whom we are under. Because some people say many things like actually in the Vedas there are many gods, or they say that actually we are God, or so many things, but we should just study what the Vedas say. So it says that. Okay, and then the second part of this verse says Tamatmastham ye nupashyanti dhiras tesham shanti shashvati netaresham. That when somebody can see this Supreme Personality inside his heart and outside also, outside everything, he can see the Supreme and in his heart. So, Tesham Shanti, Shashvati Netaresham. Such a person can attain to peace, eternal, perfect peace. He can be peaceful. When we see the Lord, we understand the Lord is in full control. Then we have no other, no worries, no anxiety, no desires, because we understand the Lord is fully in control. And we'll not see the Lord unless we fully understand him and his position. So the one who has seen the Lord, you can understand that he has been purified. He knows that the Lord is the supreme provider, supreme proprietor. And so he's peaceful. He's peaceful because he knows that I took shelter of God. Who can do anything? What can happen to me? He's not even afraid of death. It doesn't mean that they won't die. Such people, they also die, but they're not worried because they're under shelter of God. So, Tesham Shanti Shashvati Netaresham. They only can attain to eternal peace. So Krishna clearly says that. In this verse, okay, so now this verse I was speaking about, we can see, as I said, that there's a Supreme Lord in charge. And without knowing him, we cannot be peaceful. So Krishna says now in this verse, what is he saying? Krishna is saying in this verse, he's saying Arjun, and he's looking at all the army. He says that never was there a time when I, Krishna, did not exist. And never was there a time when you, Arjun, and these kings did not exist also. That means we all existed before. And he says that never in the future shall any of us cease to be. That means Krishna is talking, me, you, Arjun, and these kings will never stop existing, will always be existing. Okay, why is Krishna telling Arjun this? So let's remember the context. The point is that Arjun did not want to fight the battle because Arjun was thinking, I'm going to kill these people. I'm going to kill everyone. So Krishna is telling him, you cannot kill anyone because they'll all exist. There'll be many arguments. Actually, Arjun gave many arguments why he should not fight. So gradually Krishna will address all the arguments. So this is the beginning. He's saying here that there'll never be a time when I'll not exist and you'll exist, and these kings, which means we'll all exist eternally. So he's saying this point. So this is the reason why he's speaking this verse. Arjun didn't want to fight because he thought, I'm going to kill everyone. But Krishna is telling him, you cannot kill anyone. They're eternal. Out in the next verse, this is going to be spoken. So excuse me just 1 second. There's something I have to. So we're just going to have a 1 minute break. Just excuse me. Okay, sorry about that. So we continue now. Okay, so the point I was saying was why Krishna is speaking this particular verse, chapter 2, text 12. And the reason is because Arjun did not want to fight. Arjun was thinking, I'll kill everyone. So Krishna is telling him, you cannot kill anyone. You cannot kill anyone because we are eternal. There's never be a time when we'll not exist. When we think about death, we think about something which is, where our existence is ending. I think someone has the mic on. If you can just mute it, or I could do it. Okay, someone. Okay, that's it. It's done. All right. Just continuing. So when we think about death, we are thinking, we think about a situation when our existence ends. As souls, we do not like that because the swabhav, the nature of a soul, the swarup of the soul is to be eternal. Individually, we rebel at the idea of ending our existence. We don't like it. We don't want it to happen. And so everyone is afraid of death. People don't like death. Okay, so our idea of death is this, that our existence ends. But this is because of ignorance. We cannot understand that there is no death for us. We are deathless. This is mentioned in the Upanishads. Shrinvanto me amritasya putraha aye dhamani divyani dhamani tashtuhu. So in the Upanishads it says that, O you who are eternal, O you who are from the eternal abode, amritasya, listen to me. Then this is referring to the souls who are in the material world. So there's a sentence in the Upanishads referring to them as deathless, amritasya. Okay, so soul cannot die. So there is no death for the soul, but there is change of body. We change our body and we take that as death. So that is not what is happening. So it is due to ignorance of the soul's nature that we think we are dying. There is death. So that is not a correct conception. Bhagavad-gita is explaining. Actually, the next verse establishes, which we'll do next week, that establishes the soul is separate from the body and is eternal. It's an important verse, the most quoted verse by Srila Prabhupada, chapter 2, text 13. But that is next week. Okay, so to continue now on this theme, is that in this purport, there's an important message to Mayavadis. Now, what is Mayavad? Some of you may have heard of this before, some of you may not have heard, or you may understand the concept, but not know this word, Mayavada. So Mayavad means there are people who think that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has a material body. He's a normal man. Okay, so if he's a normal man, material, that means his body is made from Maya Shakti. Just like this, this is a material body made from Maya Shakti, not from the spiritual. Okay, so people think that, who think that Krishna has a material body, they are called Mayavadis. So such people think that higher than Krishna is something called the impersonal Brahman, the impersonal energy, the light, and that is higher than Krishna, and that light incarnated as Krishna as a normal man. So this is sounding very strange, you know. So this is not according to the Vedas, but there are people who believe this. From time immemorial, they're thinking Krishna is a normal man. And Krishna himself says in Bhagavad-gita, Avajananti mam mudha manusham tanum ashrita. Those who think that when I appear as a normal man, that I am a normal person, he says mudha, such people are fools, Krishna says himself. Okay, now, so Mayavad is a kind of Deviant philosophy where people think of Krishna as a normal man, but he's not. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as mentioned in Bhagavad-gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahma Samhita, and so many parts of the Vedas. Krishna is accepted as Supreme by Ramanujacharya, Nimbark, Vishnu Swami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Madhvacharya, and Vallabhacharya, and so many great personalities, Vyasadeva, which means that supreme and that having a spiritual body. So these people who think that Krishna has a normal physical body and therefore subject to death. So this verse is clearly cancelling that point, because Krishna is saying, never will there be a time will I will not exist. Krishna is eternal. Okay, and he's saying not only me, but you, us souls, will also always exist. We'll always exist because we have individuality. Okay. So now there's another Deviant philosophy where people say that, like we are saying, what is perfection? Perfection, we say, is we worship Krishna, and after worshipping Krishna, we go to his abode and continue to serve him. We serve him in this material world. When we get liberation, we go and serve Krishna in his abode, in Goloka, in Vaikuntha. But other people say that perfection is that we are a soul, but perfection means we merge into the light and we just become one with God, becoming one with the light, with the soul. They say these things. So again, Bhagavad-gita doesn't agree with this concept, because Krishna is saying, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to exist. So Krishna is telling Arjun, you are a person, individual. You will always be a person. And these kings on the battlefield, they'll always exist. Therefore, if someone says that there'll be a merging, Krishna will merge together. That the jivas who get perfection are going to become one with God. They'll merge and become one. That is not supported here, because they will always, the jiva will always exist. He may be in Maya, or he may be liberated. That means Baddha Jeev or Mukta Jeev, conditioned soul or liberated soul. But he will always exist. That is always given here. Okay, so for people who say that Krishna has a normal physical body, actually this is a kind of it's very offensive to God, because let's see who is Krishna. Krishna is mentioned as Supreme Personality of Godhead. Out of him everything comes. He says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, mata sarvam pravartate. Everything emanates from me, material and spiritual energies. Okay, Krishna says elsewhere that light is expansion of my energy. Sound, now I'm talking, sound is coming, entering, and then converted to sound in your device, and you're listening what I'm saying. So that sound is, Krishna says, Shabda Ke. I am that sound in ether. Krishna is sound, Krishna is light of the sun. These are all expansions of his energies. So Krishna is supporting this whole material and spiritual manifestation. And he says in Gita, Mata Parataram Nanyat Kinchidasti Dhananjaya. He says, Dhananjaya, oh Arjun, nothing is higher than me. I am the highest. I am the highest entity in this creation. So if someone says that Krishna is a normal man, this is offensive. Why is it offensive? Just think of it like this. Supposing somebody is a normal person on the road or working, and the prime minister of India comes to him, and he treats that person like a normal man. He doesn't offer him any respect. So that is offensive, because the prime minister is the prime minister. He's not a normal person. So even we accept in spiritual, among spiritual practitioners and renunciates, if a person who has a great material position, even a great material position, it says in the Veda that the rule of the country is Naradipa, he is Naradeva, he's representative of God. So we respect senior material positions. We do that. So, but if someone treats a person who is so great materially as a normal person, that's offensive. If there's a queue of people in the supermarket and the prime minister comes, you won't make him queue. You make him come to the front, and we'll honor him. Okay, that is normal, because also his responsibility is great. So now that is a normal material situation. What about a spiritual situation? If we are saying that we'll honor someone who's materially great, we will not see him as equal. So that is material. Now spiritually, Krishna is how great? He's so great. He's providing everything. He's supporting the whole universe. And if you say, no, he's an ordinary person like me, Krishna is a normal man. So this is an offensive. It's given in the Vedas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions that this is offensive because we are bringing him down to our level. So Krishna himself says that no, I am eternal. Krishna is eternal. And later on, he'll establish the fact that he is supreme. Another thing Mayavadis say, or people who are deviated in philosophy, they say that we are God. And we simply have to realize that we are God. We are all God. Why are you worshipping God? Why are you going to the temple? We are all God. So for them, we say that if we are God, how is it that I am now in illusion? So they say, no, we are in God, but that we are illusioned. We don't know we are God. We have to realize it. So a simple answer for this is that really, if I am illusioned and I am God, that means the illusion was greater than me. It managed to cover me up completely. That is, that illusion is so great, it covered me. So that's, how can that be? If I am God, I should be superior, super to everything. So in that way, I know a lot of you maybe don't have this idea, but one reason that Bhagavad-gita covers this, and I'm also speaking, is because in future someone could challenge you like this. And that happens very commonly. There's so many people, like example, I'll tell you, Brahma Kumaris, they think that we are God, or they think that the Supreme is a light. There's so many, like Sai Baba said that. Okay, but this is not wrong. This is all not in the Vedas. The Vedas very clearly explain this concept of who is God, who is the worship of God, and what is the process of worshipping God. These three things are given. So there are people like, say, Brahma Kumaris is one, but others who say that perfection means that we merge into the light. So there is no merging, cannot merge, we'll always be individuals. So this is not accepted. In the purport, this is a long purport, and they're explaining about all these points to argue, because this is an important verse for establishing the fact that Krishna is supreme, eternal, and that we are eternal. And so relation between Krishna and the Jiva is eternal. That relation will be eternal. If you form a relation with Krishna now and worship him, then that is eternal. Next birth, it will continue. Even when we die, so-called die, we don't die, the body dies. So when we go to the spiritual world, again, the same thing will happen, is that we will continue to serve him there. Now, if somebody thinks that, no, Krishna is a normal man, let's say, for in that case, if Krishna is a normal person, why are we studying his Bhagavad-gita? And why are so many people studying Bhagavad-gita? Because a normal person has so many defects. Okay, let's look at the defects of a normal person. A normal person is prone to cheat people. He can cheat. Okay, someone can write a long book or dissertation, a thesis, and he lie about it just to be famous, maybe. Okay, a normal person can cheat. Second, a normal person can make a mistake. Someone can say something and then make a mistake, just like so many scientists made mistakes, and later scientists correct their theories and then establish their theories above them. Newtonian physics has been already refuted. Einstein's theories have been refuted by Stephen Hawking. So like this, because they can make mistakes. They're not perfect people. So a normal person can cheat or can make a mistake. And third, a normal person is imperfect. Okay, I may hear a sound just now, and I won't understand, is that sound coming from here or from there? Or is the sound in my head? So I'm not perfect. I can't tell exactly where the sound is coming from. And neither can I understand what is the sound. I may have to hear more carefully because I'm not perfect. So cheating propensity, mistake, can commit mistakes, imperfect. And fourth, that a normal person is in illusion, thinking that they are the body. We all think that we are the body when we're not the body, we are the eternal soul. So because of these imperfections, a common man, we cannot listen to anything he says. Some people write books on spirituality. There are so many famous people now. They write books and they become famous, and they are kind of pseudo-spiritual. I'm saying pseudo because they pose as spiritualists or gurus, but they're not following proper Vedic guidelines, or they're not following any religion, any culture, any sampradaya, any religious tradition. So actually such people, we don't accept them as authority. They're posing as some authority, but they have some defect. So such people, we don't listen to them. So if someone says that Krishna is a normal person, Krishna is a normal man, he's not God, okay, then why shall I read Bhagavad-gita? Why shall we study all this knowledge and try to understand? If I know that he might have committed a mistake, he might be cheating or mistake, he might be imperfect, he might have not perfectly judged something. So based on that, there is no reason for me to read Bhagavad-gita if Krishna is an ordinary person. But everyone, all the great religious experts, they understand in the Vedas, the Vedic tradition, they understand that Krishna is not a common man. He is above. And it's not just my opinion. As we go on, we'll see Krishna himself is saying that. And great personalities like Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva was a great person. He wrote all this knowledge of the Vedas. He accepts Krishna as supreme. So because Krishna is supreme and transcendental and pure, so this Bhagavad-gita is also, it is above any normal literature. We can base our life on it. There is no mundane book which compares to Bhagavad-gita. Just in 4 lines each, a text contains so much information in short 4 lines, and there's 700 verses. And in these 700 verses of such short lines, all knowledge is given. Perfection of knowledge is given. So we can understand here the superiority of Bhagavad-gita in this way. No mundane book compares to Bhagavad-gita. It's written in the purport. So this should be accepted by people. They have to accept the superiority of Krishna But why don't they accept it? Many people say, they don't say Krishna is God, Krishna is supreme. And the reason, if we want to understand that, the reason is because initially we were all in Vaikuntha. We were all serving Krishna in the spiritual world. But we had the idea that I want to be Krishna. Let me try to be the Lord. Let me try to serve myself. So having had that thought, we then were placed in this material world, because in the spiritual world we'll disturb the pastimes, the blissful pastimes taking place, where the truth is that Krishna is supreme and we are all his servants. This is explained in Bhagavad-gita. This is explained in all the Shastras, all the Vedas. But we are thinking, no, I want to be God. Okay, come here and try and be God, but it's not possible. We are suffering. So now, because people are envious of Krishna, Krishna is also not exposing himself fully. Otherwise, he'll spoil their fun. I mentioned this in an earlier lecture. So in the Vedas, everywhere Krishna is not clearly mentioned. In very, very small parts of the Vedas, and not also in every religion, because we accept all religions as coming from Krishna, all the other religions outside the Veda. But the point is that they're not so advanced because they're not giving the full knowledge of Krishna, of God. Whereas the Vedas give detailed knowledge about the form, name, pastimes, and qualities of God, and the science of God, his expansions, his avatars, and how we relate to him, how this material world relates to him, how he's controlling everything, how he created, how he's maintaining, and how he's destroying. Such a great detail is given in the Vedas. So, normal people who are in this material world, they're envious of God. And because they're envious of God, they don't want to surrender to Krishna. So he doesn't reveal himself. So such people are, they concoct philosophies like this Mayavad, that there is no God, or we are God, or that actually everything is God. God is the whole creation. Humanity is God. Anything but not to surrender to Krishna. So as long as someone doesn't surrender to Krishna, we should understand that we still have that envious propensity. So this is not a fanatical, dogmatic system, because it's not that I'm speaking just because it's my idea or Krishna saying it's his idea, but philosophically Krishna will explain how he is supreme, how we are under him, and how we should take shelter of him. Okay, so these people who say that Krishna is individual, they'll never surrender to him. And these are different excuses not to surrender to God. Whereas by surrendering to Krishna, we achieve all perfection and we go back to our original position. So we are all individuals. Okay. And for there to be bhakti, bhakti means devotional service to Krishna. So for there to be bhakti, devotion to God, there has to be three things. Okay, so I'll mention them. First is, there has to be bhakta. Bhakta means the devotee. There has to be a devotee. Bhakta, bhakti, and bhokta. Bhakta means devotee has to be there. Then bhakti, the process of bhakti. And third is bhokta, the supreme enjoyer, who should be served. Now, if I think that I am God, I am supreme, then I cannot do bhakti. That is not bhakti. Some people say, yes, I'm doing bhakti, I'm worshipping Krishna, but ultimately Krishna is a man and I am supreme and we are all equal. So that is not bhakti, because there has to be a supreme enjoyer and the servant of God and the process of serving. Three things have to be there for there to be bhakti. Okay, so I was mentioning that some people don't accept Krishna as supreme. That's because they're envious. Okay, this is because they're envious of Krishna. They don't want to accept Krishna as supreme. So for such people, actually they can never enter Bhagavad-gita. They can never be admitted into Bhagavad-gita science, because Krishna says many times, we're going to see in many verses that Krishna explains many times that I'll only reveal to one, I'll only reveal this knowledge to one who is he is my devotee, or my friend. Bhaktosi me sakhacheti rahasyam hi etad uttamam. he says to Arjun, I'm revealing this knowledge to you because Bhakto Asime, you're my devotee. Bhakto Asime, Sakha Cheti, and you're my friend. Rahasyam hi etad uttamam. So you can understand the supreme science. The supreme science of Bhagavad Gita can only be revealed to a devotee. Now, if somebody doesn't want to accept Krishna as supreme, they cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. So many people have read Bhagavad Gita, so many Gitas are being sold all over the world, and a lot of lectures have taken place. But factually, we are not seeing people become devotees or changing. They cannot even stop smoking or drinking tea. Whereas we see that somebody who is read Prabhupada's Gita, ISKCON, where so many countries, so many places all over the world, they're able to give up things like which they're doing whole life, like eating meat, drinking tea, drugs, smoking. They're able to do that. So we can understand that so many Gitas are not really able to bring the spiritual energy of Krishna, the transcendental energy, because the writers were not surrendered to Krishna as bhaktas. So Prabhupada gives an expression here that the non-devotee's approach to Bhagavad Gita is like licking the bottle of honey. So a non-devotee who says, I don't accept Krishna is not supreme, but let me read Bhagavad Gita. So then for such a person, it's like somebody who wants to taste the honey, but he's licking the bottle. He'll never ever taste the honey. He'll not understand what is honey, how it tastes. And the bottle is not the honey, so he'll never ever be able to do that unless he opens the bottle. So if we want to open the bottle, the container of Bhagavad Gita and experience Krishna in our life and accept him, then one has to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the one who is without a second. Asamurdva, Asama Urdva, Asama, that is description of God, of Krishna. Asam, sam means equal. Asama means there is no one equal to God. Urdva, Asama Urdva, no one equal and no one greater than Krishna. That he is the supreme. We have to accept that if we want to enter Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, we can read Gita, we will get some knowledge. But the transcendental, deepest knowledge of Gita won't be revealed to us. This is mentioned in the purport. There's a sentence given here. Similarly, the mysticism of Bhagavad Gita can be understood only by devotees and no one else can taste it, as it is stated in the 4th chapter of this book. We'll come to that verse. Nor can the Gita be touched by persons who envy the very existence of God. Therefore, the Mayavadi explanation of Gita is most misleading presentation. Okay, so somebody who thinks that Krishna is a normal man, you have to, if anyone wants to talk to you about Krishna, or you want to hear their lecture, or you want to read a Gita, you have to understand properly, is this person accepting Krishna as God, supreme? If he's not, then he cannot reveal Krishna to you, because Krishna will not reveal to him. So this is a condition. And Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya is the latest, the incarnation of Krishna, as given in the Vedas. 500 years ago, Krishna came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this parampara of ISKCON is coming through him. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, who came as a devotee to instruct us how to surrender to Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya has forbidden us to read commentations made by Mayavadis. And he warns that one who takes to such an understanding of the Mayavadi philosophy loses all power to understand the real mystery of Bhagavad Gita. So this is very scary actually, because it's saying here that if anyone hears Mayavad, then he will not be able to understand Krishna. This is a fact, because we want to understand how Krishna, we relate to God and this material world. And so if we hear the wrong idea, then we base our principles on a wrong foundation, then we can never go further than that. Just like if a foundation is weak of a building, then you cannot build. So it's very important for all of us to properly take instructions from bona fide sources if we want to understand Bhagavad Gita and Krishna. As I mentioned many times, this is not the only bona fide one. There's so many, but as for now, it's the most commonly available. Uh, so if one wants to understand clearly, they should take instruction from a source where Krishna revealed himself. So in this verse, Krishna has spoken of some points which, first of all, refutes all these other people who say that Krishna is a normal man, or that we can merge into Krishna, we can become God by merging into God. So many erroneous conclusions. Krishna has answered just with one verse. What is that? He says, never was there a time when I did not exist. Krishna saying, I never existed. There was never a time when I did not exist. And Arjun, you also always exist. I also exist. And these kings on the battlefield, they'll always exist. And in the future, none of us shall cease to be. No one can merge into a light and destroy their existence. And neither can we say that we'll become part of God and merge. No, the devotee is always there, and the object of devotion, Krishna, is always there. And we'll always be engaged in devotional service to Krishna. This is the proper understanding of spirituality. And in the beginning, Bhagavad-gita is saying this. This is the first verse where Krishna is giving instruction to Arjun. It's the first one. And from here on it builds. And the first point to understand about spirituality is that I'm not the body. So in the next verse, which we do next week, this most important verse that Prabhupada used, the most quoted verse, we'll speak on that. And that verse clearly in Bhagavad-gita establishes existence of the soul, and the soul as separate from the body. So it is an important verse which everyone, all the children in ISKCON memorize, and you can also all memorize it. Okay. This brings us to the end of this verse. Okay. So if anyone has any question, you can ask now concerning what we discussed. Anything in the chat? Okay, so we discussed on this point of let's see that.
Prabhu?
Yes.
Other religion also come from Krishna only?
Okay, yes. So you see, they cannot be 2 or 3 gods. If we say this is God and your God and my God, because the very definition of God means supreme personality. Supreme means there's no one above. Now, if you see other religious systems, we see they have the same general idea. All the religions say that we are in this world, God is there, we have to go to God, we have to love God, we have to serve God, we have to follow God. So actually, Prabhupada said that factually there is only one religion. Religion is that I am a servant of God, God is supreme, and I have to learn to love him again, and I have to learn to follow him. That is religion. So now the same message is given in all religions according to Desha Kala Patra, according to time, place, and circumstance. The same knowledge is given. So there is only one religion. Now these other, what we are calling other religions outside the Vedas, that is brought by Krishna. But as we can see that they are not so advanced level because they don't have so much knowledge about God and these things. So always we try to enlighten everyone about Krishna. But Prabhupada mentioned that sometimes people are in one particular religious system and they're following. So we may leave them because they are on that level, they're peacefully following. So let them follow. So to answer your question, yes, Krishna brought all religious systems. As says in Bhagavad-gita, yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyuthanam dharmasya tadatmanam sajamyaham. Whenever there's a decline in dharma, I will come. That not only in India, it's anywhere in the world. So that is a point that is true. That actually our understanding is that Krishna is the bringer of all these systems of religion.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Very nice. Hare Krishna. Okay, any other question? Or let me check in the chat. Okay, so I hope all of you have Bhagavad-gita and you're reading regularly. Okay, something in chat. What is that? Okay, there's a question here. what if we want to chant without wanting any benefit, but don't want to go back to God, as don't want eternal servitude? Okay, see, now we have to properly understand. I spoke in a very short way about the goal of life, but it's like somebody who goes to a king, and the king said, ask me what you want, and you tell the king, just give me some ash. And the king is saying, no, I can give you the whole kingdom, I can give you wealth, what do you want? No, just give me ash. So actually, when we do bhakti, when we get liberation, we say servitude, that we become servant of God. But actually, it's not like a servant in this material world. Someone may not want to be, we don't want to be servants in this material world. Everyone wants to be boss. But that, like, we take part in Krishna's Leela, Krishna is the enjoyer, and we help him to enjoy. But we also get so much enjoyment in the process, more than Krishna. Therefore, Krishna came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to become a devotee, his own devotee, to experience how much bliss it is to be a devotee of Krishna. So, yes, you can chant, but the goal of chanting is to go back to Goloka and to serve Krishna. And that is such a happy, blissful feeling, and this material world is such a place of suffering, that gradually, if you read Bhagavad-gita and understand the Vedic truths, that you'll understand that actually that is, the supreme bliss. So that's what we should do. But yes, we can just chant. You can just chant for, and gradually you'll get purified. So everyone is welcome to chant Hare Krishna. This is the main religious process for this age of Kali. And you're also encouraged to read Bhagavad-gita. Bhagavad-gita has the summary of all Vedic knowledge. Okay, any other question from anyone? Yes, seems like everyone understood. Okay. So in sometime in December, there's two Ekadashi. The second Ekadashi in December is the day that Bhagavad Gita was spoken. It's called Mokshada Ekadashi. That is now September. We are almost, you can say some October, November. That is almost 3 months. So I would like to, in the next session, start a system, a kind of challenge, that everyone on this who wants to take part, you make a sankalp, you make a kind of vow that we should read Bhagavad Gita by Ekadashi. We are in this world, we don't know how long we are going to live. At the same time, we are in ignorance. We want to reach perfection. So the faster that and the sooner we get perfection, this will be better for us. So I'm going to give more details now in the next session, but I want to think about this, that my plan is that everyone in the group, whoever wants, can take part. It's not compulsory, but we take up this challenge to read Bhagavad Gita completely before the second Ekadashi of December. I look at that date, I'm not sure. Normally it falls in second or third week of December. So by that day, we should read Bhagavad Gita. If we don't read now, when will we read? We are postponing it. So for that, you need to have a copy. Okay, so if you want to take part, you can just send me your name, or just on the group. I mean, you cannot send, you can send to me personally. Okay, and we are going to announce who is in it. So we'll start now is September. We're going to start on the second Ekadashi of this month. September, October, November, that is 3 months. Okay, I'll give more details about this. So we want everyone to take part and read and finish Bhagavad Gita before this time. And this is the perfection of life. Okay, so okay, I finish now. We are almost on time. It's 5 minutes remaining. So if there's no other question, we can finish now. Well, let me just check the chat. Yes, that's it. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See you next week. And just think about my proposal that we are going to start this challenge or vow that we read Bhagavad Gita completely before the appearance of Bhagavad Gita in December.
December.
Yes. Okay. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Más, sí, no más, para.